OK, Dominic Perrottet, the New South Wales Treasurer, has issued a second invoice to Queensland for $40 million to putting up citizens in hotel quarantine. Now, when hotel quarantine began, the Board of Treasurers struck an arrangement where each state would pick up the cost of their returning residents to ensure fairness. Queensland refuses to pay. If you were Premier, would you pay?
Well, I've never seen what that agreement was, but I tell you what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't act like a child and rip up a bill on TV to try and be a hero. I wouldn't trash talk New South Wales and then at the first moment duck across the border and rip my shirt off and go parading on a beach. And both of those things were done by our Deputy Premier. Now, if you've got an issue with a bill, and it doesn't matter if you're a private citizen dealing with your builder or if you are the Deputy Premier of a state. If you've got an issue, you deal with it like an adult. You say, look, hang on, we don't think this is fair income because of X, Y, Z, but you don't carry on like that. And that's the difference how I'd conduct myself. I'll always stick up for Queensland. I'll always stick up for Queenslanders. But that doesn't mean you engage in petulant behaviour. No one wins when people carry on like that. Good on you.
Well, Queensland found money to try and get an advantage in state of origin, so they can hardly say, oh, well, we can't afford it. They forked out, what, $8 million so that the state of origin could go to Townsville.
Yeah, but I have no dramas in looking at opportunities to drive events. It's got to be value for money and you've got to have transparency for a taxpayer. I would have liked us to have scored more than 6 points and I would have liked New South Wales to score a few less than 50. But I'm a proud Queenslander, Alan, and I'm a proud person with events. And I always say that if you treat people with respect and if you look at opportunities to drive tourism into regional areas, you can get good value for money out of events, but it's about being open and transparent.
Good on you. What about this crisis right across Australia, not just Queensland, but in Queensland alone, job vacancy data shows 1,000 chefs and cooks are needed, 250 kitchen hands, 400 bar attendants, 500 waiters. There are jobs out there, no one to fill them. Restaurants and cafes suffering, shortening their trading hours. How do you solve this problem, David? We've flattened the curve. When will we start allowing people back into the country to fill these jobs?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. There's a couple of ways. One is I've been on farms from banana properties up in North Queensland to citrus farms in places like Gayndah and Mundubbera. And they have traditionally relied on workers coming in from other countries. And those workers want to come back, and they can come back in a safe manner. And yet the government has, instead of allowing it to happen, they've found roadblocks. And yeah, now they're crowing that they've got a few in, but in many cases it's too little or too late. That could have been done. The other thing you need to do is you need to find a way to make sure there are housing availability in those areas, particularly in the regions. I was speaking to a guy the other day who was in Mackay, put a job ad for an auto electrician, got a person, said, right, I'm ready to go. That person wasn't able to find the type of house he needed for his larger family. Now, it's up to a government to deliver infrastructure that allows the private sector to build houses. That hasn't happened. It's up to a government to build roads to be able to drive that opportunity for the economy. That hasn't happened. It's up to a government to meet social housing needs to take the pressure off the housing stock. None of that's happened in Queensland, and that is one of the reasons why we are struggling to get workers, make no doubt about it. Combination of overseas workers and allowing better housing options would help flatten that curve.
Good on you. It's a quick one, very quick, running out of time. Will the Bowman candidate for the LNP be chosen on gender or merit?
Always on merit, and I'm someone who I will never walk away from. I want to see more diversity in our candidates. I want to see more women. I want to see more people in small business. I want to see more parents. But we're different to the Labor Party. They pick on unions, factions, heavying. We pick on ability, and the best person for the job will get the gig.
We hope so. You've done very, very well. Very impressive, David. Keep doing well. Good to talk to you. There he is, the newly minted opposition leader in Queensland, David Crisafulli.